Happy Mando Friday to all of you guys. I'm actually really happy, but I'm also really sad because the end of the season is just next week, guys. But today we got an announcement of tons of new Star Wars and Marvel shows, so that means I'm going to be able to stay up till 1 a.m. all over again. Many more months to come and have tons of time just talking Star Wars with all of you guys down below in the comment section, because that's what we do over here in a full spoiler detail. It's Mandalorian Friday today. We're going to be going over Season 2, Episode 7 of The Mandalorian, which is now Chapter 15 called The Believer. This was a great episode, a good, really great pendulum episode leading into the finale of this season, which I really don't want to be the end. But again, today we got all those announcements of all those great new Star Wars shows. We also know that the Season 3 is coming Christmas next year. God, I'm so excited. I'm sure many of you guys are as well, and I can't wait to hear from what all your guys' thoughts are down below in the comment section. As well, if you're new here, hit that like and subscribe, and if the Force is with you, or if you just know what the way is. This was, again, a good episode, and as I was sitting there, I like trying to sit there and guess who's the director of this. And of course, like midway through, I'm like, this is Rick's. Like, this definitely feels like a Rick episode just from the previous season. I was like, this feels just like his. And I was right by the end. And every time the Mandalorian just pops up and the theme starts playing, the title card pops up, I just sit there bopping my head, like dancing to it. And I just get so excited. I just say to myself, like, I effing love this show. I effing love Star Wars to death, and it's just like, it's so great to be able to stay up and feel like a kid all over again, and just in general just get so excited and giddy over the small things like Boba Fett just showing up. And every time I see Boba Fett, I'm like, God, I actually like you now. Like, I used to think you were such a weakling after last week's episode and now this week's episode, him flying around in his Slave One. It's just awesome. Like, I'm like full on nerdgasm when it comes to Star Wars. And again, I just get so excited over the tiniest of aspects, which you'll see throughout this episode, because they do pick up Mayfield very early on. Cara Dune, or Deputy Dune now, brings her. Deputy Dune kind of reminds me of Deputy, the dude from Doug Dimmadome for some reason, but Deputy Dune gets her out, or gets Mayfield out of that whole refinement, which was a really cool area. He takes him on the journey. It was funny because, Boba Fett walks out and he goes, oh, hey, I know another person that's, oh, it's you. And then he says, hey, the kid's gone. He goes, the little green guy? Bill Burr is just great in this role. I love Bill Burr. If you guys didn't get to see King of Staten Island earlier this year, he was excellent in that, and you guys should definitely go check that out, because again, he was great, but he's also great in here. And again, seeing that whole thing of how they're planning, how are we going to get into this base, how are we going to figure it out, I can't. Mando's like, I'll do it, and Bill Burr's like, hey, Mayfield's character is like, hey, you're gonna have to, I can't explain walking in with Mandalorian. He takes on the idea that I can put on the suit, and from that point on, I said, I think we're going to see his face. And I love Pedro Pascal as an actor. I think this guy does so much with his emotions, with his movements, with his facial emotions, and just all that sorts of stuff. Like, the tiniest of details with him is what really brings this character to life. And I know there's a lot of stunt doubles as well, but you can clearly tell when it is Pedro. And I really much appreciate that, because this episode alone, I could tell it was Pedro Pascal through a majority of it. And I love that. And I hope to God that we actually do get to see more of his face eventually. I get, like, for his Kree and how he grew up, that's not how he's supposed to be, and he feels very out of his place. You can even see the discomfort in him when he finally does take his mask off, but I want more of him in that, just because I love Pedro. I think he's such an excellent actor, and I've always loved him ever since I saw him from Game of Thrones as Oberyn. But going again in this episode, they get into the suit, and they have great dialogue again in that the whole vehicle convoy. He's like, pretty much like, hey, just take off the mask. It's very easy to see. And again, all those details leading up, I was like, he's going to take the mask off. But great action set piece kind of rolling on the truck. It kind of gave me a throwback to Indiana Jones kind of vibe for a second. But killing those pirates, destroying them all, the spear throwing scene, I was like, oof. There were verbal reactions coming out of me of how gritty and brutal some of the sequences in here. But that's what I really like about The Mandalorian. I think many of us also really like about The Mandalorian as well, and that's why I just like having a great time discussing this show with everyone, because we all get so excited about certain and different little elements in here, and I think these are the little elements that do get us excited, or those little moments when he throws the spear, he throws the grenade back, and it blows him back. Like, those fun little action set pieces are so good. But diving in a little bit more into here, we didn't get the child in this episode. It was the first episode without the child ever in a Mandalorian episode. I'm pretty sad. We're coming to save you, little buddy, next week. Hopefully he's safe. I mean, what do you guys think? He's got to be safe, right? But of course, they get into the place, and they're the only convoy to actually make it back. And Mayfield starts walking and goes, oh, I used to work for that guy, but that guy can't see my face. And he goes, well, the only way to get that structure thing is you got to take your mask off. And I knew right then and there, I'm like, Pedro's going to take his mask off. And he does. And again, the discomfort in his face in that scene is so great. You know, there's some great dialogue. Of course, the Imperial walks up, tries telling him, hey, who are you? What are you doing? Mayfield comes in to swing in. And, I think this Imperial knew something was up. They go back to get a drink to celebrate, and they have this great dialogue with one another. You can clearly tell Mayfield feels a lot of regret working for the Imperials, and you can definitely tell that in the sequence as he's having this conversation with him, and then he just goes, I was sitting there, he goes, he's gonna shoot him, and he pulls the trigger out, boom, shoots him, and kind of like an iconic thing of how Han shot first. It was kind of the same way. It's just that instant reaction. I loved it. They just have to full-on breakout style out of this little mining depot that the stormtroopers are taking over. They just shoot them ways out, and they're going up to the top. Of course, Cara Dune and of course Fennec are also shooting down below, shooting the guns off. That way Boba can come in with a Slave 1 to pick him up, and he does just that. He gets in the ship and he flies off, shoots that bomb down to kill the 2 TIE fighters, which were just brilliant. And also Mayfield shot that little bomb, or the radium, blew up the whole base. And of course Cara Dune sees that and goes, hey, he's not that bad. He used to be an Imperial, but he's not. The whole episode ends. Mayfield gets to go gone. They have where Moff Gideon is, and now it leads us into our next episode of Where is the child? How are we going to save him? And how are they going to take on Moff Gideon? There's so many things that we can possibly predict for next week. And, that final moment of Mando sending that transmission to Moff Gideon, warning him, I am coming after you. I want what you have. I'm taking back what is mine. That means more to me than what you know. And I think this is my thing. I don't think he's going to want to give up the child after this. I think he is very sad about it. I think even with Ahsoka, he didn't want to give it up. And I think when a Jedi does come, which I do think will happen in next week's episode, I do think we're going to find out that Jedi. And I know there's a lot of predictions. I want to hear your guys' thoughts. A lot of people say it's Ezra. I don't think it's Ezra. And then we're going to see that in the Ahsoka spinoff show that just got announced. A lot of people are saying Mace Windu. Maybe, I'm starting to kind of get around that theory. I don't 100% agree with it, but maybe. It's obviously not going to be a Force Ghost. But I actually think it's going to be someone new that we haven't seen before. A lot of people want Luke Skywalker. Maybe. But the one that I'm actually going towards is I think Jamie Lee Curtis, from what I understand, is casted in The Mandalorian. Unless that's changed and that was a complete rumor. But from what I understand, she got casted in The Mandalorian. And she has not been in any of these episodes yet. So is she the Jedi? Who knows? I could be completely wrong again. Maybe it's debunked that she's not been casted at all. Maybe the Jedi doesn't even come next episode. But what I do think that we are officially getting, I think we might see Bo-Katan again next episode. Maybe even Ahsoka Tano. Maybe they're all coming to assault and attack Moff Gideon. But what I do think is going to happen, that Beskar spear he has, oh yeah. He's going to go up against the frickin' Darksaber with that. And I cannot wait. Maybe I'm completely wrong again. I don't like theorizing because I'm bad at it, but I want to hear your guys' theories because many of you guys are probably way better than me. What were your guys' thoughts? What are your theories for next week's episode? Are you sad The Mandalorian's ending? And out of all the new Star Wars shows that got announced, what was the one that you were most looking forward to? I'm personally most looking forward to Andor. Andor actually seems really cool, but Obi-Wan and knowing Hayden Christensen's coming back kind of gets me even more excited. Guys, the Force is with us. This is truly the way. Thank you so much for joining me. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe. And if you guys want to keep talking Star Wars geeky content over here on a daily basis, I love doing and talking all the sorts of that stuff. And I want to keep talking it with you guys down below in the comment section. So thank you guys again so much. And of course, until next time, stay classy.